This magic moment.
Now, this magic moment. Orlando rises.
That's the winner for the Magic.
Legends live.
Here's Hardaway. He'll hammer home on Ewing. Oh, baby.
And the magic is real.
Yes, it's over.
Strap in. It's showtime with RJ Saunders.
It is this magic moment on 1010XL Magic. RJ Saunders here with you, and we are glad that you guys are here with us. Episode 5 of the podcast. Milestone? Question mark? I mean, hey, we just really appreciate that you guys are here giving us a couple of moments of your time as the holiday season is in full swing, and the Orlando Magic looking to rev things up in the Eastern Conference and resume play on Thursday against the Denver Nuggets, also looking to close out the year on a high note. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Have a lot of things going on from the Magic Minutes to this magic moment. We don't want you guys to miss out on a thing. Now, unfortunately, the Magic's NBA Cup run would end at the hands of the eventual champions of the tournament, the New York Knicks, by a final score of 132-120 on Saturday. And I thought that the team showed a lot of fight and a ton of heart in that contest. And I understand it was a loss. However, I do feel that there were a lot of positive takeaways in the team's NBA Cup run, if we are just being honest here. And I just want a couple moments to break that down for you guys, if that's okay. I think in the NBA, we see a lot of coming out parties. Something for a team or a player where a particular moment turns the whole momentum of a season around for that player or for that team, a la Kobe Bryant Game 4 of the NBA Finals in 2000. For Orlando Magic fans, we've said that the turning point, or to use a basketball phrase, the pivot for this group has been that of Desmond Bane's game winner against the Portland Trailblazers, where it felt like Orlando desperately needed a shot in the arm to get their season going. And we've really been shown to be right in that regard because we've seen the way in which the group has played since that shot. Really feels like the city has been able to put their arms around Desmond Bane and the rest of the group, which, if you forgot how that sounded like, here's Jake Chapman.
Looking, still looking. And he'll get it into Bane. He's going to jack it off. It's up and done. He made it. He made it. He made it. You got to be kidding me. What a game. Desmond Bane, a heave at the horn, and it was true. Stranger than fiction.
I truly feel that this NBA Cup experience is going to propel the Magic to even newer heights as we continue this season. I believe the national media has been one of, we have to see it again, or we haven't seen it enough. And maybe a lot of that is due to the fact that said media isn't watching enough Orlando Magic basketball games. I think if you are just to look at the semifinals, if you're an NBA fan that Saturday, not just an Orlando Magic fan, even if the Orlando Magic are not your team, if you're just simply an NBA fan, there were only 2 games you could watch on Saturday, and the Magic were playing in one of them. And I believe that you got to see a team that not only quote unquote hung around with a squad that has championship aspirations as well, but they're also a team that you've already seen a couple of times already. And you have beat a couple of times already this year. And with the money and the chance to have NBA Cup champion attached to your name, you were able to show the media, hopefully, that you're a team that they need to keep an eye on more. And a few guys understood that. Here's Paolo Banchero in the pregame to start us off before the Knicks matchup, talking about just how big of an opportunity this was for the entire group.
It's a tremendous opportunity, to play on this stage. You can just tell by all the stuff going on. It's a big stage, and as a team, we want to take advantage of the opportunity and just go out there and do our best to get the win. It's a fun environment. Everybody's excited to be here, so definitely looking forward to it.
That sound coming courtesy of Jason Beatty of the Orlando sentinel. Now, I can probably feel you coming through the sound waves right now saying, we've gone 7 games against Cleveland in the first round a couple of years ago. We've had an all-star named in Paolo Banchero. We made the big trade to now hopefully put us over the top and hopefully represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals in Desmond Bane. But being in the NBA Cup, that's going to be the thing that grabs the national media's attention. I think it will. Because if you look at the run in its totality of the NBA Cup that the Magic were on, the Magic played in 3 of their group play games without Paolo Banchero. And you were still able to show that without your all-star, you had more than enough not only to win, but to win big, especially when the stakes were high. Now, at the same time, you did have Franz Wagner during those runs playing alongside Desmond Bane. Now, Paolo's still working back from his injury, and he's trying to get his legs back under him. But if we were honest, if this Magic team had all their superpowers and Infinity Stones allotted to them, is there an argument that they could have beaten the Knicks on Saturday night? If Paolo was Paolo and Franz were healthy? If Jalen Suggs could have given you 15 to 18 more minutes in that second half, could that have gotten you over the top? And perhaps not, but even in defeat, I think there's a lot that this Magic team can learn. Because although you got the national attention, you also got a glimpse once again of what it feels like to have the whole world looking at you. And the Knicks are a team right now, when you look at the 4 teams that were in the Cup semis, the Thunder and the Knicks are the 2 squads where they understand what to do when the lights are brightest. Unfortunately, if you take out last year, and you got beaten against the Celtics, if I take you back 2 years, you're up, I believe that was 18 points against Cleveland in the Game 7 national stage. You didn't finish. It's the same in Vegas. But that's not something to hang your head on, in my opinion, because this is the learning experience for when you get into the playoffs. Although you have the cornerstones and you have a lot of depth on that roster, you're still learning how to win in big moments, especially when playing meaningful games like an NBA Cup game and hopefully getting out of the first round and having a deep playoff run. I believe something like this was your first true test of what it means to be under the bright lights when there are some folks who are seeing you for the first time, and also being under the bright lights when you're in the Final Four of not just an NBA Cup, but the NBA playoffs. Now, a lot of things are probably going to have to align. First and foremost, you're going to have to get healthy again. You have Jalen Suggs out with the injury. Franz Wagner, probably if I have to guess, they would sit him the rest of this year, probably rev him back up in January. Paolo Banchero still has to get back to being Paolo. But I think you also have an opportunity in this stretch to see just how deep this roster is, which I feel behind Oklahoma City, you probably have the deepest roster once everything is figured out. Dante Marchitelli's been on the record stating that Jace Richardson's going to be a guy who's going to step up in big moments and possibly be the reason why the Orlando Magic wins some games. Didn't we see that in the second half in Vegas? Comes out absolutely cold, but he stepped up in a major way. Noah Penda, stating Dante Marchitelli again, he's heard guys say it's going to be hard for Jamal Mosley to keep that guy on the bench because of his talent level. We've certainly seen flashes of that throughout the young half of this season. Tyus Jones still needs time to come around. Still isn't where you thought maybe he would be, but I think he is going to be huge for this team late. Mark my words. Mo Wagner isn't back yet for this group, and I think having him out there with that second unit is going to help that team immensely. Jet Howard, I think in some instances, he's going to need more playing time himself. And the leader of that bench group by far is Anthony Black, a guy who I believe needs to be in the conversation with guys such as Austin Reeves and Jalen Johnson for most improved player in the NBA when this season is said and done. And naming all those guys, that's without me naming Goga Bitadze and Jonathan Isaac in terms of the depth that you have on that bench. I think this is a team that can go 10 deep, if not further. And if what Jamal Mosley is saying is true, they're still trying to work out the kinks. They're still trying to figure out what works in terms of rotation. I think we'll see more of what this team can do night in and night out once everything is figured out. And when it comes to those big stages, when they get there again, if everything is everything for this group, I believe that you're going to have a squad that's going to be able to get to where they want to go. I believe that the NBA Cup, even in a loss, I believe that that's the coming out party for the Orlando Magic. And we're going to be excited the rest of the way. But those are just my thoughts. As always, we would love to hear yours. What were your thoughts on the loss in the semifinals of the NBA Cup? Was it a positive one? Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, because we have some amazing things in the works, from our Magic Minutes to this Magic Moment. You can find it all right here. You do not want to miss out. All right, it's time for my favorite part of this podcast. Let's welcome in Dante Marchitelli. Did he have some positive outlooks on the NBA Cup and what the Orlando Magic were able to do? Also, a couple of guys are out due to injury, but what is the team going to look like, in his opinion, once the team is back at 100%? We're going to get all that and more from Dante Marchitelli of the Orlando Magic. Let's welcome him in right now. I'm always humbled when I talk to him, because in my mind, he is family. Never has to do these things, but he makes the time just for us here on 1010XL Magic in this Magic Moment, and I'm just glad that we get another chance to have a moment with Dante Marchitelli. I always have to tell him this, but thank you so much, sir, for answering a random DM that I sent you a few years ago, because without that, I don't know if we're having these opportunities to talk basketball and Orlando Magic hoops here in Northeast Florida. Dante Marchitelli is the host of Magic Insiders with Jake Chapman, as well as the host and sideline reporter for Your Orlando Magic. Mr. Dante, thank you so much, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, RJ. Listen, you're way too kind, man. I appreciate that. I consider you family as well. And listen, anyone that's a Magic fan and that appreciates basketball and the NBA and reaches out, I'm going to be more than happy to respond. And you've taken it from there and you've run with it. Love what you're doing up in Jacksonville, and I can't thank you enough. You're doing terrific work, and you know the game, my friend. So that's a bonus, and it's always great to talk to you.
And as always, Dante, we certainly appreciate the time. And as I think about it, every year that we've talked, I've always said I just can't understand why the national media doesn't see this Magic group and just say, you know what? Here's a team with a lot of talent. They have their cornerstones. They have an identity. And they're going to have something to say by season's end when we talk about groups competing for the title. And I thought that the whole NBA Cup run for the Magic was a big step for them in the right direction in terms of showing a national TV audience and national media that they are here. They're here to stay. They can go end to end with a team such as the New York Knicks, a group that many feel is probably going to be there towards the end when it comes to teams competing for said NBA title. But the Magic can also fight from a 20-point deficit to beat the Miami Heat to get to the semifinals in Las Vegas. We can also go undefeated in group play. This isn't just luck. We're actually that good as an Orlando Magic group. So even though they didn't win the NBA Cup, Dante, I felt that there were a lot of positives.
Well, I think that's well said, and you're exactly right. I think to be one of the final four teams standing for the NBA Cup, right? To be one of the teams recognized on a national stage out there in Las Vegas, I think is huge for this young group. I think it was validation for the hard work they put in. I think for the moves that Jeff Weltman made this offseason for the system that Coach Mosley has put in. I think that was huge validation for them. And listen, there's no shame in losing to the New York Knicks.
No.
It's frustrating, and New York Knicks fans are They're obnoxious as heck when they come in our building,
Right.
but that's
Right.
what we love about them.
Right.
That's what we love about them, and that's what makes for a great rivalry. And we truly – and listen, let's face it, when the Knicks are good, it's great for the NBA,
Yes.
and you love seeing that. Unfortunately, you hate seeing it come at the expense of the Orlando Magic, but the Magic have beaten them twice. They've won 2 of the 4 meetings. They didn't have Franz Wagner going into that Cup game, so certainly – and listen, you talk about national media, it's the national media who's going to win the East, right? Most likely. Nobody saw this coming from Detroit. I'm with you. I think now the Magic have kind of started to slowly creep into some of the national media, but to be recognized on that stage, to be one of those 4 teams that were left, and then to give the Knicks all they could handle going into that fourth quarter, I think was huge. Despite you didn't have Jalen Suggs for the fourth quarter, you didn't have Franz Wagner at all, you still don't have Mo Wagner. I think that's the thing that. If there is some frustration here locally, RJ, just being honest and candid, it's just we can't get our full complement of guys on the floor. But I think that's coming. That's coming.
Yes.
You're not going to have Franz or Mo on this 4-game road trip. Jalen Suggs, you hope you can have them somewhere on this road trip. But eventually, and very soon, you're going to be fully healthy, and you're going to have everybody back. And then watch out. I think Magic fans would feel very good about this team the last half of the season.
You talk about the team not having Mo Wagner. You also talk about the team not having Franz Wagner and that of Jalen Suggs in the second half as he was dealing with that injury, wasn't able to give it a full go maybe like he would have wanted to in that first half. However, the more and more I watch this Orlando Magic team, Dante, I can't help but look at the depth that this team has. Byron Scott said on his podcast how he always raves about OKC. They can go 9 or 10 deep. But watching this Magic team this season, I'm saying Orlando has that same effect. We saw Jace Richardson play big minutes and be productive in the Cup. Noah Pinda has played in some big spots, and those are just the 2 rookies I'm talking about. We also seen Jet Howard step up off of the bench. Anthony Black unquestionably is the leader of this second unit when he gets healthy. Tyus Jones, it really feels like he's starting to come into his own. Still not where we would like for it to be, but I think he's going to help you somewhere down the line. And when Mo Wagner comes back, I think that's only going to make you that much deeper of a group. So just how pleased have you been with that coaching staff, understanding and trusting the depth of their bench?
Well, I think that's it. I think you got to give Coach Mosley all the credit in the world for piecing this all together. There's some nights that he'll play 8 or 9 guys, and then there's some nights 11 guys will get in there. He's just always searching, trying to find the right combination. But it just felt like with what Jace did at 1 year at Michigan State and with what Noah Penda did overseas, this is his 4th year being a rookie with whatever league he's gone to, that just felt like those guys were going to get an opportunity to play. And then they're going to make it hard for Coach to keep them off the floor. And I think we're in that territory right now, RJ, if I'm being honest. If you don't have Franz and you don't have Jalen, I think that's where you're going to go. I think those guys are going to get more minutes, going to get an opportunity. They've already shown to this point that they can hold their own. Jace Richardson has impressed the heck out of me with how vocal he is. You're talking about a 19-year-old that is talking during timeouts, right, when you've got Bane and Paolo and Wendell and Tyus Jones sitting there on the bench, during a timeout, and you've got Jace Richardson is the one that's in their ear saying, come on, we got to do this, or don't give up, or whatever it may be, words of encouragement, but also strategy. I mean, that speaks volumes to me about the kind of leader that he is and is going to continue to be. So that's huge. Tristan da Silva is struggling. He's struggling mightily here the last couple of games. We got to figure that out. We got to get him going. Got to find a way for Tyus Jones to score. But even though Tyus isn't scoring, he's not shooting much. That's the first thing. But he's second in the NBA in assist-to-turnover ratio. Right. So he comes in, he keeps you organized. Maybe he gets to start in the absence of Jalen Suggs, and he'll just run the offense, and he'll get everybody in the right spot. So he has his role. Goga Batadze protects the rim. Jonathan Isaac, give you 15 to 20 minutes of menacing defense. Everybody knows their role, and they come in and they play it to the best of their ability. So I think that's huge, and more than ever, with all these injuries, you're going to need them to give you everything they've got on this road trip.
Couple of players I do want to ask you about. First off, let's start with Anthony Black. Listen, my dad, every so often, he's going to listen to some Orlando Magic basketball, but the guy he is in love with on this group is that of Anthony Black. He absolutely loves the way in which he plays the game. You and I saw him at Media Days. His energy was just different, and you can tell just by the aura that he has, whether he's playing at home and the Magic fans are letting him have it and he can feel off that energy. Or if you're an opposing team fan, you have to respect and love what he does on both ends of the floor. I always knew he was a bad cat, Dante, but this is huge for Orlando to have him play like this season.
Well, I think your dad is old school and kind of a throwback like I am and like my dad was.
Right.
And I think what your dad probably loves and appreciates about AB is in a day and age where you're really not allowed to defend, right, where it's very difficult for defenders to hold their own. You know, you hear a lot of that generation, and they're not wrong, talking about defense. You know, Anthony Black is one of the guys that plays on both ends of the floor. And I think if there's anything that impresses fans and coaches and executives and opposing players and certainly his teammates, it's what AB does on both ends. He's a terrific defender, and he is relentless. And at that size, 6'7", able to get into your body and not allow you to get shots off. But then offensively, he's become a bit of a relentless attacker. When he gets the ball, now knowing that guys are out and he's got to be more aggressive, you watch what AB does on this 4-game road trip. I think you're going to be pretty impressed. So your dad is right. Magic fans are right. That this is we always felt that he was an X factor coming into this season. Right. You kind of know what you're going to get from everyone else, but he was the one guy that you knew was going to get solid minutes in the rotation. And if he could make a jump, if he could have a breakout season like he is, then you knew that this team could be something special. And that's what we're seeing. He doesn't lack for confidence, which I think is phenomenal. And he's only going to get better. You look at what 37% from beyond the arc for Anthony Black in wins, and 20% from beyond the arc in losses. And I think it's not that it's just that simple, but when he's knocking down shots, this Magic team is very difficult to beat.
I want to get your thoughts on Paolo Banchero. He's still working his way back in terms of being that superstar force we know he can be. I see that he doesn't want to mess up the energy sometimes that the Magic have had since they went on their run when he was out, but I think he is the perfect guy for when the game slows down and you aren't running and gunning, you let him work. And you're going to see, as he's done in the past, he's going to get this team out of a lot of trouble when they're down in contests because he is such a superstar talent. Just how do you feel Banchero takes this team to another level once he gets his sea legs back? We saw him have the 26-point game against the New York Knicks in the semifinals in Vegas, but we know he can do so much more when he's back to 100%.
Yeah, and I think he had 8 points in the first half, and you were wondering, okay, we got to get him going, and then he kind of poured it on in that fourth quarter. So, yeah, we got to get Paolo. We got to get his conditioning, got to get his legs under him. He missed those 10 games with the sore groin. So now you've got him back, and he's kind of feeling his way back in. Conditioning is always going to be a thing when you don't play for almost a month, and that's kind of what we were going through. But I think he's feeling much better. He's gotten better every game. You can hear him talk about how his wind is better. Those minutes are over 30. That's about what you want anyway, right? So he's good to go for 32, 33 minutes. I think a couple of things, RJ. We got to get away from this narrative that, and it's a small minority of NBA fans and sometimes even Magic fans that think this Magic team is better without Paolo. I think it's absolutely absurd. Right. Thank you. I know you don't feel that way, and 95% of Magic fans don't feel that way. And I think the other 5 are going to be reminded here on this road trip just how good Paolo Banchero is as he kind of get. But it's different. It's different, and he is used to being the guy. He's an alpha. He likes to have the ball in his hands, and he's used to making big shots. And I think for this team to be successful, everybody's got to touch it because you really don't have a ton of superstars on this team. So everybody's got to be involved, and I think he's got to find the balance of when to go get when to take over a basketball game, and when to set up for everybody else. His assists are up from last year. He's taken fewer shots than last year, so he is trying to fit in. But believe me when I tell you this, in the fourth quarter of games and going into the playoffs, and every meaningful game you have between now and then, you need Paolo Banchero leading this basketball team, and we are very fortunate to have him.
You've touched on him a little bit in this conversation. Let's just go more in depth with Jalen Suggs. He was a warrior out there in Vegas. I mean, I had to stand up and clap for him as he was limping but still trying to give it his all. Out with a hip contusion, but just talk about how integral of a player he is for the Magic in their hopes for a deep run. Because I believe your most important piece is going to be that of Desmond Bane. Your best players are Franz and Banchero, but Jalen Suggs, because of his heart and his skill set, he's this team's heartbeat. And dare I say, if we were to give out individual team awards, he get my vote as a team's MVP.
Well, you said it a couple of times. You used the word heart, and everyone on this team calls him the heart and soul. And that's exactly what he is. He's the heart and soul of this team. You saw how he laid it all out on the line, defending Brunson to the best of his ability, chasing people around. His entire left side was hurting him during that basketball game, yet he gutted it out and gave everything he had and had the best offensive half of his career with 25 points in the first half against New York. He literally left it all out there on the court for his team, but then just took a hard fall and just couldn't finish. We get lucky again. We got lucky with the diagnosis on Franz. We get lucky with the diagnosis on Jalen that it's a hip contusion, and just because you say it's a deep bone bruise or a contusion, it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean it isn't painful. Doesn't mean it can't lead to other things. So you'd be surprised if he's out there tomorrow, but hopefully you can get him back relatively quickly. I got to think, and anyone that's played basketball, you know that this to be true. When you're defending your position and you look up at the point guard, the head of the snake, the tip of the spear, whatever you want to call that point guard position, and he is defending like that, he or she, if you're a female fan and you've played women's basketball, when you see the point guard giving it everything they've got and defending and making it difficult for someone to bring the ball up the floor, you fall in line. Like, you can't help but get inspired by that and pick up off of that. So it's contagious. Everything that he does is contagious. And not to mention, the way he plugs into that crowd and recharges, it's something like I've never seen. Suggs at a home game is unlike anything you'll ever see. We're so fortunate when he's out there. Now the next thing, and this is the hardest thing, is we have got to keep that guy healthy. And I don't know what the answer is to that. I refuse to believe he's a guy that plays so hard, so he's always going to be hurt. That has been the case to this point, but we've got to figure out a way to help him and keep him on the floor because he's just too valuable. You can't get where you want to go as a Magic team without Jalen Suggs. We need him on the floor.
A guy you talk to a lot, and a guy who it seems to me he is starting to really rev things up in terms of getting back on the floor and helping his team out, is that of Mo Wagner. It's good to see him back out there on the court. When you see on social media, he's joking around with the guys. He's getting shots up. He's dribbling the ball again. Just a great thing to see from Mo Wagner, and you can see that the team does miss him night in and night out, being on the floor there and going into those wars with him on the NBA court. Just what type of a boost can he give Orlando once he comes back?
Oh, if Jalen Suggs is your heart and soul, then this guy is right. He might be your lifeblood inside. What this guy gives you, the energy that he gives you, and not only that, like we've seen him be vocal at times on the bench, but there's no substitute for playing and being in the rotation and being vocal and bringing energy, and that's what he does. He won't let guys quit. He never stops believing. He's got all kinds of faith in his teammates, and that translates. Guys run through a wall for Mo Wagner, and he's you're probably not going to be the Mo we're used to seeing right away when he comes back. But you're hoping it feels like he's close, RJ. It really does. With the workouts that he's been doing, the sweat, the sweat that he works up before a game, and you can feel he cut his hair the other way. There's no bigger sign that a guy's getting close when he goes to a new haircut, right? So he's feeling good, he's looking good, and I think he's going to give such a boost to this team. And when you're going through a long season, and sometimes you come up on those dog days of the season in March, and you're struggling, you're on a road trip, and you're struggling to find juice or to find life, he's a guy that always brings it. And those are so valuable. And not to mention that, he used to be just an energy guy. He's much more than that. This is one of our best offensive players. We're talking about he led the team in three-point shooting before he got hurt. He was our best three-point percentage last year. One of our better offensive players. So you need him for that. And now Mo Wagner in this up-tempo style, running down the floor, beating his man down the floor, posting up, getting the ball on an undersized mismatch. He's going to be valuable in that role. And then I think about him and Franz, hopefully both of them back ready to go for that trip to Germany, which is going to be the experience of a lifetime for those two, getting to play an NBA game in their home country. So you're certainly happy for him. I know that's a date that he circled. He's definitely going to do everything he can to be back for that. But we need him. We need him out there on the floor. He just brings so much to this team.
All right, the Magic have a few more games, I believe 8, if I'm correct here, to close out 2025. Dante, just how would you like to see this group close out the year, as they'll have some tough games against Denver, Toronto, and Golden State?
we got to get back to the defensive team that we were last year. We got to find a way, and it's tough because you're not going to hold a team to the 97 points per game that you held them to last year. There's just too much scoring now, too much up tempo. Everyone's playing with pace. Teams are trying to get out and score, and before you can get your defense set, and especially against Orlando. And listen, they're not all. It's not a complete cry from last year. You're still sixth. You're the sixth best defensive rated team in the NBA. But I think there were a lot of glaring holes defensively in that game against New York, and we've got to shore some of that up. So if you can get back to a consistent defensive team, and it's going to be hard because as good as Franz is offensively, he's one of the best defensive players on this team too. And you don't have your heart and soul Jalen Suggs, at least for the short term. So other guys got to step up. But if you can capture that defensive identity in addition to what you're doing offensively, I think that's going to be huge for this team. Continue to score. You got to get back to the free throw line. I think the last 5 games they've struggled to get there. You got to continue that, and that doesn't come by trying to bait the officials into getting calls. That just comes from being aggressive, getting in the paint, attacking the basket, getting fouled, drawing contact, all of those things, and that just that aggression that you can show on the offensive end. And we got to find a way to continue to score off of our turnovers. I think those 3 things will set this team up nicely.
It is always an absolute present during this holiday season to have a moment with Dante Marchitelli. He is the host of Magic Insiders with Jake Chapman, also the host and sideline reporter for your Orlando Magic. Mr. Dante, once again, sir, thank you so much. Happy holidays to you and yours. Safe travels to Denver and on this entire road trip, sir. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
You're the best, RJ. Anything you need, I'm always here for you. Keep up the great work. Merry Christmas to you, my friend,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll be in touch. We'll talk to you in the new year. Happy New Year to all Magic fans, too. And listen, we're going to get through this. We're going to get everybody healthy, and watch out. Second half of the season, this Magic team is going to be someone everyone's talking about nationally. Appreciate it, buddy. Talk to you soon.
A huge thank you again to Dante Marchitelli for all of his insight into the Orlando Magic. Always a joy to have my man on the program chopping it up about the team. Jalen Suggs, hopefully you can have him back here soon for the group. It's going to be interesting once again to see how this Magic bunch does without the heart and soul of this ball club. As we stated earlier, is going to miss some time with a hip contusion. Dante said that you hope to see him sometime during this road trip, but although Suggs seemed frustrated during the interview process after practice, he did also seem in good spirits and hopes to be back on the floor soon.
I'm doing good. Just spend some time with our team, get my body right.
So what was your reaction? Obviously, we talked to you in Vegas, but to get the MRI done and kind of get some clarity that whatever it was is not major.
Yeah, like I said, I'm good. Just work on the body, work on the mind, get everything right, and get ready back to Russia.
It goes without stating just the understanding this loss is going to be for this Orlando Magic team. However, on the other side of all this, I think there are opportunities to be had, reps to be given to guys on the bench. My assumption is going to be Anthony Black will remain in the starting lineup. The other assumption that I have is maybe you see Tristan da Silva in the starting lineup, although he has had his struggles of late. I think that's a guy that you're probably trusting the most because he has played in big spots with Paolo Banchero being out. We saw this guy in the starting group with Franz Wagner being out. I'm going to also believe he's going to get that opportunity there at small forward. But I also believe you're going to have to look at guys like Jace Richardson. If the calling card is more space and pace, I think one of the guys that fits that description is the rookie guard. And he also showed there's no fear in him on the defensive end when you need him on the floor to guard a guy such as Jalen Brunson. I would love to see what he would be able to do against other guards around the league as we continue to wait and see just how long that hip contusion is going to sideline one Jalen Suggs. Hopefully we can see Banchero getting back to playing that all-star level of basketball that we are accustomed to seeing him play. I think he understands he doesn't need to force the issue if he doesn't need to, but there's going to be 3 games in these last 8 that the Orlando Magic are going to have before the year closes out, where you need your all-star forward to close out these games. And I think once we see his minutes continue to ratchet up and you get his sea legs back under him, we are going to see the Paolo Banchero that we love seeing for this Orlando Magic group as they continue to wait the return of the Wagner brothers as well as Jalen Suggs. This, like I said, is going to be a huge turning point, and I think we've seen you can win big without Paolo. You showed that you can win also in the absence of Franz. We saw that against Miami, but who is now going to take the necessary steps to keep this team's head above water? I understand that you do a lot by committee, but this is a big opportunity for Jace. I think this is also a big opportunity for Noah Pinda, Jet Howard, even the vets such as Jonathan Isaac, who I would love to see him get back to that minister of defense role, that long gadget guy that you were able to utilize a couple of years ago. I feel he's due to get back to that, hopefully. So on this 4-game trip, I believe it's going to tell us a few things, in my opinion. And of course, we are going to break that down next week. Anthony Black is also going to be a guy to look out for as he continues to make a great jump for the Orlando Magic. Certainly has been necessary. You're going to be trusting this guy in big spots during this road trip. So there's going to be a lot that we are going to see, not only during this road trip, but to close out the year in total. That's going to do it for us once again here on this Magic Moment. Also, exciting news for you Magic fans. We are going to be streaming the game Orlando has against the Nuggets. Simply go to 1010XL.com, click on the 1010XL live button on the right side of the screen. We'll have the tip-off at 9:10 p.m. Jake Chapman's going to be on that call. We're also broadcasting the Utah Jazz game. Tip-off will be at 9:30. Pre-game is going to be starting at 9. You'll do the same thing. Go on 1010XL.com and click on the 1010XL live button on the right side of the screen. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. It has been a joy talking Magic Hoops with you, and we are only getting started. Thank you to Dante Marchitelli once again. I'm RJ Saunders. Have a very happy holiday season. Go Magic, and we'll talk to you soon.